Hey, what's up, survivors? Today I want to address the Terje situation and what happened to all of his mods, why they were removed from the workshop. He did have 1.5 million subscribers at the time of the removal of all his mods, so I feel like this is video worthy to discuss the situation. I think this is interesting for the modding community to be aware of, and there are lessons to be learned here. So first of all, who is Terje? He is the author of the Siberia project from years ago, and more recently his Terje skills and medicine mods and a few other mods that add pretty complicated new mechanics to the game that are very hardcore. The medical mod in particular is very hardcore. I run it on my server, and that's why I'm making this video, because this affects me directly and years of my own work assembling my server around this mod, and I'm kind of bummed out about the whole situation. So what happened? Let's start from the beginning. Let's go to Terje's Discord, we'll go to his news. This is where everything started. So a few days ago, Terje updated his core mod and removed some unused debug code. So the first thing to mention is Terje's mods are obfuscated, which means when you try to read them, when you decompile them and try to read them, they look like this. Not exactly easy to read and interpret. However, someone deobfuscated his mod and found some suspicious code inside the mod. So Stern posted this on the 13th at 1:39 p.m. I think you should come clean about this, Terje. And this is admin code hidden within his obfuscated core mod that it gives him essentially admin privileges and cheats on a server. This wouldn't normally be a problem if it was transparent and you were able to add yourself as an admin and remove Terje as an admin. However, Terje, for some reason, hard-coded his Steam ID as the only authorized player to execute these commands, and these commands could be executed on any one server running his mod. So, in other words, it's a backdoor admin privilege, or cheat, if you will. Terje could log into any server in the world running his core mod, and he could use these commands to get ESP, which is extrasensory, like wall hacks. He could teleport himself around, he could spawn in items, heal himself, and add skill XP to his own account. And you couldn't stop him from doing that. Now, do I think Terje was actually exploiting this and running around on people's servers and cheating on them? I don't think so. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt in this particular accusation. At least I don't think he was rampantly going around hacking on people's servers. But the point here is that he could do that if he wanted to, and there's nothing server admins could do about it to stop him other than catch him in the act and ban him. And by the way, I was playing vanilla this week quite a bit, and I got killed several times by hackers. So if Bohemia thinks one guy hacking on servers is a big problem, they've got bigger problems out there. But that's a subject for a different day, and we all know about that. This isn't about that. The sus thing is the fact that he hard-coded and obfuscated. Not only has he obfuscated his mod, he also obfuscated his own Steam ID, which means even if you decompile the mod, there's a second step to figure out what his Steam ID is here. So in other words, it looks like he did go to some lengths to hide this feature in the code, and the question is, why would you do that? That's definitely very suspicious on Terje's part. Like I said, I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt, but this doesn't look good. So I could be wrong. Maybe he was running around cheating. I just find it hard to believe personally, but that's not really the point. Whether he was or he wasn't, it's the fact this code existed at all that got him into trouble in the first place. It's like building the Death Star and then intentionally putting an exhaust shaft in it that leads directly to the core of the Death Star on everyone's server. Not a great design. And then Stern says, my suggestion is to simply remove the bad code from your mod and keep up the good work. It is what is best for the community and you. Everyone loves your work. You should be proud of it. Now, Terje he didn't exactly handle this very well. He said, just a debugging feature. It's no longer relevant, so I think I can remove it from the mod to avoid confusing you. You guys are real hackers. You were able to deobfuscate the mod. Now I'm terrified. I hate obfuscator mods, so I'm not a fan of this response, but whatever. I'm not taking sides here. I'm just making you guys aware of what happened. So, long story short, Terje has a backdoor in his core mod that allows him to have admin privileges. Now, Terje straight up admits that the source code is on his GitHub. The only obfuscated part is the part that protects his license so that he can make purchasing a license from the website more profitable and cheaper than hacking mods in the short term. So he does admit that this was all about monetization, which is against Bohemia's license. So here is the official thread in the Infusion Modders Discord, where all the biggest modders and Bohemia staff sometimes hang out and discuss these things. Now, where things get complicated with this part of the controversy is this bit of backstory here. Now, this is a lot of he said, she said stuff going on. I haven't really seen any evidence about this other than the backdoor code itself, which definitely existed. But in terms of 3 deobfuscation groups noted the code since June last year, and Stern, the guy who brought this to the public attention, was included in the process of communication with Terje, but he let people close to him reach out with proof and keylogs. I don't know what they mean by proof and keylogs. It'd be good to know more about that. So this was months ago that this code was found in the mod, and apparently there's been a group of people trying to reach out to Terje to tell him to stop this backdoor behavior. That sounds bad, but you know what I mean. Then a few days ago, the topic came back up and people asked for proof. Stern published his personal findings and made it public on Terje's Discord. Terje then published an update removing part, but not all, of the offending code. Again, I haven't seen evidence of what they mean by this. Apparently he hid the other stuff in another level of obfuscation. That's vague, and I don't really know exactly what they mean by that, because Terje has released the open source core mod on his Discord. I looked through it, I couldn't find anything wrong with it, and ChatGPT Pro did not find any evidence of a cheat backdoor in these source code files. Now, I don't rely on ChatGPT for everything. I'm just using it as like a backup to see if I missed anything, but I couldn't see anything in the code that looked like a cheat. That being said, we'll get to the next part of the controversy, which is the monetization and licensing stuff, which is still in the mod. So yeah, the double whammy thing comes in, and I think this is why Bohemia are cracking down so hard on this mod. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what information these Infusion modder guys have that everyone else doesn't. Maybe he moved the code into his other mods. I don't know. But it seems to me like he did legitimately remove this backdoor debug, quote unquote, functionality. And like I said, I like to give talented modders like Terje the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he was exploiting this, at least if he did in the past. I doubt he was hacking. Maybe he was jumping on servers and seeing how they're using his mods. I don't know. That's still not good. That's still dodgy. But what I'm saying is I don't think he went to all this length to build one of the most complicated mechanical mods in terms of game mechanics in DayZ just so that he could go and cheat on servers. I don't think that was part of his master plan. I think people are overreacting a little bit about the backdoor code being used. I don't think it was used nearly as much as people fear it was in terms of exploiting servers. But like I said, the code shouldn't exist in the first place. So I'm not defending Terje here. I'm just trying to be objective and grounded and not overreact and get all emotional like people tend to do with this game. Bohemia have found out about it and they are not happy, and rightly so. Stern makes everyone aware of this code, and Wardog gets involved, and Wardog passes this information on to Bohemia directly, and Bohemia in turn ban Terje from the workshop and remove all of his mods. He is banned due to gross malicious content and gross implicit monetization. So the malicious content was removed, but the monetization persisted, and so he's now permanently banned. What kind of sucks and what I don't agree with here, I don't know why I was mentioned here, by the way. I just randomly got mentioned in this in this conversation, which I was surprised to see, and the reason I'm making this video. So Mario says open sourcing the mod will also get me banned, as it's a derivation or derivative. Drop the mod, it's banned. So they've gone nuclear on Terje, scorched earth, totalitarian Soviet Russia era approach to this situation. Is it warranted? I don't know. What's crazy is on Terje's GitHub, he had some very useful code about this project. It was all open source, except for the core mod features that were obfuscated to do with the licensing and with this obviously hidden malicious code. But Bohemia have somehow taken down Terje's GitHub as well. So all of his open source work is gone. I think this is an overreach on Bohemia's part. It disproportionately hurts the community. I've read through all the open source code on Terje's GitHub. There was nothing malicious in it whatsoever. There was nothing monetized in it whatsoever. Nothing that even made it possible for you to replicate the code in question that triggered this entire debacle. So I think this is an overstep on Bohemia's part. I'm disappointed that they removed the source code for Terje's mod, so we can't even learn from it. We can't even build a ethical version in the eyes of Bohemia's licensing rules. Even if I wanted to create my own medical mod like Terje's, which I don't think I will because it just takes way too much time, it would be helpful to look at how Terje did certain things. But Bohemia have removed code from a third-party website that, look, I know it's their game, I know DayZ is their game, but this script project was 100% Terje's intellectual property. Sure, he did the wrong thing here, but like I said, the code on his GitHub was not malicious whatsoever, and it was helpful to the community to learn from. And they've stripped that completely, which to me seems like a bit of an overdramatic reaction to this whole situation, to be honest. That's my opinion. Please, Bohemia, don't strip my GitHub over this. I'm just voicing my opinion. I just think that this move actually hurt the community more than it's stopping Terje from doing it. He obviously has his own source code still. What difference does it make to let people read the good parts of his mod on his own GitHub? It's just a bit weird to me. I think that move was a little bit weird to me. But hey, whatever. Like I said, just my opinion. Please don't shoot me. The Siberia project, which is the first spiritual version of his later Terje mods, is also taken off the workshop, which had nothing to do with this controversy whatsoever. I don't know if Terje removed this himself or if it was taken down alongside all these other takedowns, but I think this sucks for the community. Terje's mods were great. Did he do something fucked up? I think he did. I think the backdoor thing was a bad move. Do I think he was exploiting it on purpose? No, I don't think so. Does that matter? Maybe not. The fact that it existed at all is not good. Should the mods have been monetized in the first place? I don't think so. I was disappointed to see that when he released his mods to begin with. I hate seeing obfuscated mods, and I hate seeing paywalled mods even more. Now, one of the other problems with this mod was that you could pay to remove the watermark or repack the mod on Terje's website. That is against Bohemia's rules, and that's a separate issue. Personally, I didn't mind the repacking thing. I don't care about repacking his mods in this particular case, but the watermark did annoy me, so I just made a quick and easy mod to hide the widget, and I didn't pay to hide the watermarks, but that was just me. Sorry, Terje, if you're watching this. I love your work, but I didn't like the watermark thing at all. And I run a couple of servers, and the fee to run across multiple servers was too high, so this is what I did. Sorry to admit that. I guess I'm a hacker too. This is a game. I think modding should be a hobby and not a paid career that you paywall things behind. I don't like monetization at all in DayZ. In my opinion, I think all mods should be open source, and we should be allowed to build on each other's code to make the game we all love even better. Imagine what could be possible if everyone who made great mods shared their code and allowed us to learn from it and build on it. We'd all benefit from it as a DayZ community. So anyway, this guy says Zen is a different guy, which I guess would write the whole mod by new from scratch. I appreciate your confidence in my abilities, Lycos, but this is a big project to start from scratch, so I don't think I will. Mario does say that if it is not derived, then it should be fine. And so Lycos says, is the idea at all banned? And Mario basically says no. Streetman says, so what now? Is any mod with advanced medicinal skills that are like Terje banned forever? And he said, no, only Terjes or derivatives. What's kind of annoying is that I guess Bohemia will use their discretion to determine if a mod is a derivative. I don't know how they'll prove that. And like I said, the open source code on his GitHub contained no malicious code whatsoever, and we can't build on that. We can't expand on that. I think that's a real shame. I think Bohemia have gone a bit too nuclear on this situation, and they say it's to prevent ban evasion. And then you get guys like this, dude, are you for real asking blah blah workarounds? Just forget about that mod and move on. It's not the end of the world. Look, a lot of hardcore servers have integrated Terje's mods as an integral part of their server. I know I have, and it's going to be a massive job for me to rework my server to remove this, and I'm going to lose a lot of players that only played on my server because of Terje's complicated and immersive and really challenging medical mod. Now, am I saying that Bohemia are to blame here and that it wasn't Terje's fault this all happened? No, I'm not saying that. It's more complicated than just removing the mod and pretending like it never existed. I don't think that's a fair statement by that guy. And any server admin should know that. Even if you don't like the mod author, a mod like Terje's medical system is very complicated, and if you build a server around it for several months, it's not an easy job to just remove it all of a sudden. First of all, it requires a full server wipe. Second of all, if you're running expansion with quests and you've got medical systems set up in the markets and all that, traders, quest rewards, airdrop loot, not to mention the loot economy, and just the core server experience and vibe of your server is just stripped out from under you, and you're not allowed to even take the old work and build on it and build some sort of substitute that doesn't violate Bohemia's rules just because the mod author is banned for doing something wrong. I think that just disproportionately punishes the DayZ community at large, and we're paying for someone else's sins. But I get it. I understand it's complicated. I'm coming at this from a server admin point of view. I get where Bohemia is coming from. Terje did do the wrong thing. He does deserve to be punished for this probably, but we were all getting punished as well, and that sucks. This is why people say that sometimes it seems like Bohemia don't really value their modded community. They don't even appear to be giving us any sort of time to adapt our servers to this change. It's being handled in a very messy way, in my opinion, especially if this was known about for months. Why wasn't this handled more opaquely by the community? It just hasn't been handled very well by everyone involved, in my opinion. But I don't know the full story. I'm saying all this as an outsider who's only learning about this now. And Mario does say that Siberia was published a long time ago, so it should be fine, but it is removed from the workshop and from his GitHub. Maybe he did that himself. And then Predator says, when are you planning on going after the copious amounts of paid Russian and LB master mods with the same vigor? That's fair. I think that's a fair point by Predator. No disrespect to LB master. I'm sure he's great, but this is a double standard situation. I don't think we can deny that. Although Mario does say they will also start being handled, so that's interesting. They are clearly cracking down on the monetization. And Mario is going to go after anyone repacking Terje's mods. So what do we learn here? One, obfuscated mods are almost always dangerous to work with for all kinds of reasons. At best, they're usually poorly written. At worst, they have backdoors in them, and they could be banned by Bohemia at any moment, and you've got to wipe your server. And lesson number 2 is don't monetize your mods, don't paywall them, or Bohemia are going to come after you. I think that's fair. I think the modding community should depend more on donations than paywalling mods. I don't think that's a good thing for the community. And I say that as someone with 6,500 hours in DayZ tools. So it's not like I haven't sunk an enormous amount of my personal time into modding, and I don't appreciate how underappreciated modders are and underpaid for their work. But this is a hobby, so that's what you get when you indulge in a hobby. And Bohemia have every right to ban monetization of content on their game. I get that. So that is the story. Terje is permanently banned, his mods are permanently banned and scrubbed, and all derivatives are also banned. Will I make a complicated advanced medical mod? I don't think so. I just don't have the time. I won't say no forever, but I definitely do say no for now. I've got a business to run. I've got plenty on my plate already. And now I've got to rework my entire server, which depended pretty heavily on Terje's medical mod. So anyway, that's the story. It's a shame. I don't think Wardog or any of these people are to blame. Don't go after them. Even Mario. I think their hearts are in the right place. This definitely does seem like it's all Terje's fault, and he ignored several warning signs before this happened. Do I think they overreacted on Terje a bit? Yeah, I do. I think taking down his GitHub was a bit of an overstep. I think he should have been given the opportunity to republish his mod without the malicious code and without the monetization, completely open source, so the community can use his hard work and build on it. I think he should have been given that opportunity. It's up to him whether he would have done that or not. And maybe he was given that opportunity behind closed doors. But if that is the case and he has been given that opportunity, he's going out of his way to build a very convoluted lie about it. I just don't think this is being handled in a very mature way from my outside perspective. But hey, what do I know? And who cares what I think? Now, what about some practical steps? What are some alternatives you can use instead of Terje's mods? For the medical system, you can check out Immediate Pain. That's what I plan to do. I'm going to see if this mod will replace at least the spirit of what Terje's medical mod was going to do for my server. And I have my own skill tree mod. It's not as in-depth as Terje's mod in terms of mechanics, but it does give your character a sense of progression, and it's obviously the next best thing now that Siberia and Terje's skill mod is gone. And my mod is open source, so you can build on it. You can do whatever you want. You can tweak it to be more like Terje's mods if you know how to. So that'll do it for this video. Bit of a cautionary tale and a real bummer for the DayZ community. Take care, guys. I'll speak with you in the next one.